All right, so I'm going to go over a little bit of how you could create music using rings. This is mostly a library management tool, but it also provides a lot of capabilities for suggesting content that you might use in actual arrangements, and can generate entire arrangements for you as well. Um, Basically, the first thing you got to do is choose a library and then set up some categories to kind of organize your library. But this is all covered in the last video from version 0.27. So I'm not going to repeat that. If you want to figure out how to use the application, just go watch that video. This is mainly focused on how to actually use it um, while you're producing. So basically, it's kind of designed to be used side by side with your audio workstation. I have a blank project over here that we can get started with. I have, my whole sample library here. Obviously, I can play whatever I want from here. If I want to use this, I can drag it directly into my project. Um, this can be useful if I just, want a kick. Oh, for some reason I'm not playing the audio here. So yeah, you've got pretty much normal system for getting, stuff from your library into your project, but obviously that's like only the most basic use case. After you spend some time kind of organizing your samples into these various categories, I have like, for example, a bunch of chord synths, settings for that, the maximum number of notes in the scale to use, all this kind of stuff. And then various ways of pulling those types of synthesizers out of my library. So here I'm just looking for file names that start with PD underscore. I know those are pads. And so if I go to my source tab, I can see I have a bunch of pads. They all start with PD. So if I want to create um, something that it requires this chord synth, I know always where to go to get that stuff, and I can also get like suggestions of similar material to use over here. So that's like the basic library management capability. But if we go to the generate section, you can see that there are choices for the larger groupings of material, which are just sort of built in. There's six of them. You can put all of your own categories into one of these six channel categories, basically: kick, drums, bass, harmony, lead, and atmosphere. And so if I want like to get started with like a kick pattern, for example, I can select kick, figure out the duration that I want. This is in measures. You have your kind of project level information over here. So this is 120 BPM, and you know basically we'll get one measure. This is going to do four patterns with four layers each, so we're going to get quite a layered kick sound. You can make it melodic if you want. Not recommended for kicks, obviously, but same with effects and reverb. And then automation variation is customized as well. For a kick pattern, I think none of these are particularly useful to use, but we'll get to them in a moment. So let me just generate some of these. There's also a variation of selected option, but we have nothing generated yet, so that's not going to be useful. But once we do, we can use that to generate variations. So let me generate some kick patterns, and we'll go through them. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so I kind of like this one. You can also see like all the notes from my library that were used to produce this. So there are three distinct notes that came from my Kicks collection and on the Kick channel. And these are the three actual samples that were used, that were layered together to produce that note. And then those notes were then arranged to produce the pattern. So if I want some variations of this one, I can switch to variation of selected. Let me get like five more variations of this one, because that's the one I like. Let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and use this one. We'll bring this in to the arrangement. I'm actually gonna like shorten it by half, I think, and just do this. Let's see. Okay, Logic Pro doesn't like my AirPod headphones apparently, but let's see if I can just do this. Okay, so that's not great. I don't know. Let me see if we can get another one. And I'll just take this one, drag this in, and get rid of this. Let's see if maybe it will be good as a half. So this is a decent pattern, I think. We'll just go with that for right now. We can always come back to it later. I'm gonna get some drum patterns. I think that'll be a better way to expand on this. Go ahead and give me 8 drum patterns. Okay. A little busy. And if I don't like how busy it is, whatever, how many layers there are, like I can alter that too. There's a bunch of choices for the number of layers, number of patterns. Um, so that gives you some level of control. You can also like zoom in here if you're really interested in individual frequencies and stuff like that. And this is adjustable too. So um, all right. I kind of like that one. I think I would like to get some variations, though. I'm not sure. Like that one's kind of good, but I think we could maybe do better with a variation of it. Um, that one's interesting. That's pretty similar to the original, actually. All right, I'm gonna go with this one. I think it's the best. Let's just do a little bit of like cleanup on this real quick. I think we can put a kick compressor, maybe a rock kick or something. Yeah, that'll make that a little bit better. And for this one, I think multi-presser might be useful. We'll put hi-fi drums. Maybe like add some gain first too, because that is one thing is a lot of times these patterns come out kind of quiet. It's just like to leave you a lot of headroom so that you can, not have any clipping, but you may have to adjust the gain up quite a bit depending on how loud your samples are to begin with and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so now we've got this going. I think this is pretty good. So let's move on. Let's get some bass lines. So here we'll use the melodic setting, and when you check that, you can see a bunch of other stuff comes on. By default, it's on for bass, and the default duration is a lot longer than for the drums or the others. And then when you use melodic, you can choose actually whether you want chords or a sequence. So a sequence is like a kind of arpeggiation. It'll like, when choosing a scale to use, it'll play it out as individual notes. And then chord is, going to take those notes and just layer them right on top of one another and play chords. But for bass lines, I find the chord thing doesn't work very well. Or, I mean, whatever. To each his own, I suppose. So yeah, I'll leave the FX and reverb on here, but that can get a little weird fast, especially with a like high degree of automation variation. So let's just try this out for now. I'll generate 6 of these. Generating melodic material takes a little bit longer too. depending on your GPU, basically. Okay, this one is empty. That's not good. And this one. Okay, so these all turned out empty. Might be that we have a problem with the base category. Let's take a look at that. Base, browse. No, we've got quite a few base, got quite a lot of base material here to use. So it's really confusing to me why we would have gotten a bunch of blank ones. We try and generate some more and see what happens. Interesting. Oh, I see what happened. So we hadn't set our base category as melodic, and so it wasn't allowed to be used in the melodic section of this. So let's go back to generate. You always got to make sure to cover that. I'm going to go ahead and just clear all these samples. We don't need these anymore. But let me generate 10, or let's generate like 5 basslines this way. So anyway, common problem that can happen is, you can like, get your organization wrong and end up not having any melodic material to work from. But here we go. Let's see. Okay. Well, this one is okay. Let me get variations of this one. Yeah, so this one is all right, I think. Let me bring that in and, we'll extend these a little bit and see what happens here. So I'm not such a fan of, um, oops, this beginning part. I think if we split at playhead and maybe do the same right here, might get something a little better. I'll hang on to this just in case, but um, yeah, so I think that's a little bit more suitable. We'll just take this. Um, we can copy this over. Yeah, I think actually it might be better to kind of do this. Yeah, maybe even. Okay, so let's merge these. I think. Oh man, bounce and join. Yeah, join those. Okay, there we go. So now we've got a baseline in place. That's pretty good. So let's do some more. I think we can go on to add some harmony, right? We're going to use chord for this, and go ahead and generate 5 of those. I may have my melodic settings wrong for the harmony part too, though. It looks like, yeah. So let me go back to categories, make sure that I have that set correctly as supporting melodic, all of the stuff I might want to use. Oh, that's on lead. So yeah, so this is my only harmony category, and it supports melodic, so that should cover it. Um, yeah, let me clear these out and generate five of these. Okay, this one's blank. That's not so good. Okay, here we go. And remember, this is going to be in D minor. They're all going to be in D minor because I set it that way, but you know, you can set it to whatever you want. Okay, I think this one is pretty good. So let's bring it in. Oops. Okay. Yeah, it's similar to the other thing. I definitely don't like it to be like going all the time. Like, let me just like split out some pieces of this and remove them. I think it's I think it's better to be a little bit less frequent than that. And then yeah, same here. Uh, okay, so let's try that. Maybe we don't need that last little piece. Okay, so go ahead and try and add a lead part now. So we're going to just do something kind of similar to with harmony, but with a sequence instead of chord. And I'll go ahead and turn the automation variation way up so that we can get a sense of that. Let me generate like eight of these. Uh, okay, some of these are empty. Okay, so this is definitely the best one. Let's generate some variations of this because, okay, that's kind of interesting. Wow. Okay, so that one is. Okay, so this one seems pretty good. Let's just check the last one. Okay, last one, nothing. So let's bring this in and just see how it sounds on top of it. Obviously, you need to do some mix down to get that right, but it seems, you know, okay. So what about atmosphere? I have an interesting set of stuff in the atmosphere category. If you look at my sources for that, I have these like random FX. Some of them are pretty strange. Wow, I'm very loud. But we can even generate parts for that. So if I go here, select atmosphere, it's going to generate kind of a long duration one. I'll leave the reverb and automation variation high, I think. that's a reasonable thing to do. Um, so let's clear these first and then just generate a bunch of these atmospheres. Hopefully some of them are kind of interesting. I think the first one is probably the best. So we'll go ahead and bring that in. It's quite a bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and copy my existing arrangement over here. And maybe it makes more sense to have this like right here. All right. So that's basically how it works. You also have the ability, after having generated these, to go to the arrange view and generate entire arrangements if you want to. So there's a separate tab that lists those. They take a lot longer to run, but they do a lot more like optimization as well. And they also take inspiration from whatever you have in the generate tab. So if you go through and create a bunch of individual parts here and then remove the ones you don't like, the arrange process that you generate will actually try and stick to that. And so basically I can add a bunch here and then choose how many optimization cycles I want to run. And it will generate an arrangement that is structured based on the sections outlined here. And you can, add and remove sections to match whatever you want. And there's actually a little visual indicator here of the sections to help you understand, what you're doing. So if I like remove this section, well, it's going to reset all of the networks I just generated because I'm changing the arrangement. But if I do that, you can see it'll change the visual representation of that here, to indicate that section is gone. So now removing this other section, I continue to remove them. And yeah, so I'm cutting it shorter and shorter over here. Um, and then maybe I want to add a new section, however many measures, and I can do that, 32 measures and add a section. And the point here is that like the changes in the patterns will basically, happen at those locations, and there's a similar thing going on with effects and automation for these breaks, and those are depicted by a large bar at the top. So anyway, that's how you use it. As always, please provide some feedback on this tool. That would be, very, very useful to me. And also remember that, whenever you make changes here in your categorization and other things, make sure to hit this save button so that your changes are saved. Everything configured here is like saved inside the application bundle itself. So, it's very portable. If you like take the application bundle somewhere else, it'll bring this configuration with you. Of course, your audio library is always external to the app. That's why you have the option to choose where you want it to be. Anyway, thanks a lot.